he told me a story about a startup that did a pitch, and then in terms of they were supposed to have a slide about their office, and they didn't have that slide, and they were asked, why don't you have, where's the slide about your office? And the founder's answer was, well, actually our my living room is the office. And so he was telling me how that company's doing incredibly well, and they ended up getting the investment. I think they got 5 million or so.
Yeah, I mean, frugality is definitely something you want to see in a founder. You know, founders that rent space at WeWork, it just boggle my mind, because why are you wasting money on WeWork when you can just be working out of coffee shops like every other Silicon Valley startup that's been successful? You know, I think sometimes people confuse getting things done versus small tasks, and they think that getting an office space at WeWork is going to somehow make them successful, and it's just not true.
Interesting. I've dabbled a little bit in the startup world, and so that's interesting to hear, because I used to think that the founders are going to want to make sure you have an office, make sure you have a nice logo, a nice website. And yes, you want to have those things, but turns out the office actually, if anything, it works against you if you're throwing money at an office.
Yeah, I mean, look, you want to spend every last penny towards helping you reach your business objectives. And there's just so many distractions in startup land that people get caught up in. For a while, it was very popular to go to Dubai to raise money. And it's like, why? You live in Silicon Valley. If you look up the GDP of San Mateo, which is a small city here in Silicon Valley, has a larger GDP than Dubai.
Wow.
So instead of flying halfway across the world to talk to less wealth,
Yep.
You can literally just stay here and work hard, find the investors that you need, and raise all the capital that you could ever want. But, it's seductive to go to Dubai. It's kind of like Vegas, When I hear founders are going to Vegas to raise capital, it's a joke. They're just going to get blacked out, and they're not going to accomplish anything. And I don't think founders really realize that a lot of VCs are paying attention to these type of things. They don't want a founder who's going to be blowing a bunch of money on a bunch of random stuff. They want that guy who's more frugal, right? They want the guy who's not going to order soda for lunch and just get water so they can save those extra pennies. And it all adds